And this merchant site is basically providing a means for people to buy and sell drugs. So it's sort of like an eBay. It's an intermediary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm reading. I don't know. I'm reading a quote. I don't know if it's a quote. If you supplied it, where Chuck Schumer said that this Bitcoin or whatever this thing is unconstitutional, as only Congress has the ability to print money.
Well, I mean, there's a paper which has come out of Yale, and it's about a 44-page thing, but only the last half actually makes assertions on terms of which laws will extend to Bitcoin. And right now there's a lot of speculation about which laws are going to extend to Bitcoin. Bitcoins are kind of like cash. I mean, there's nothing illegal about using euros or Australian dollars or whatever within the U.S., or at least having them in your pocket. Now, I personally don't conduct any business in the U.S. I'm, living in Europe, and we're basically working in Europe. But there is fear amongst the Bitcoin community that, certain ignorances will basically, people will dismiss Bitcoin because they'll see, it's been used to pay for drugs or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, for people...
Actively,
for people who don't understand, I don't know if Chuck Schumer used those words or not, but see, the Constitution doesn't apply to people. It applies to the government. And number one, Congress doesn't even have the authority to print money in the Constitution. So Congress is not allowed to print money, nor are states. People can print money if they want to, but what the Congress says is that the states shall not make anything but gold or silver coin legal tender. So if people want to print money, it's not legal tender, but they can still print it and transact it if they can find somebody who wants to take it. What Congress has the authority to do is take gold and silver and turn it into a coin. There's nothing in the Constitution that says the federal government can print money. So they don't have that power. People have that power, but no state can make it legal tender. But if I want to run off Peter Schiff dollars and I want to try to get people to accept them, I mean, there's nothing unconstitutional about that. If the federal government tried to do it, that would be unconstitutional.
Well, we don't want to make this money. We just want it to be recognized in some form. There was recently a heist that happened, and someone lost what was valued then at $500,000 worth of Bitcoins. Because there's no regulations regarding Bitcoins, that person has no way to seek his liabilities. And the criminal, whoever stole it, isn't technically a criminal.
Well, how do you steal somebody's Bitcoins? And if I have some Bitcoins and they're stolen, can you trace those Bitcoins to me? Is each Bitcoin unique? Or once a Bitcoin is taken, there's no way to know where it came from or who the previous owner was?
Well, it's a completely transparent system. They are traceable. In fact, my co-founder runs the UK exchange Britcoin.co.uk, and he has spectacular Know Your Customer, follows the Know Your Customer laws, has open book record of every transaction, and this is another reason that we're pressing for regulation. There's no flaw in the security of the Bitcoin network, but the thing is people will have their wallets on their computers and it'll be unsafe. You would never blame Visa or MasterCard if some thief got a hold of your credit card number because you carelessly put it on some website that you shouldn't have trusted.
Right, but you can get, they'll usually, if you have fraud or something, you could usually get your money back.
Exactly, and that's why we're really pushing for regulation. Because once there's regulation, once there's open books, once people are actively tracing the money, and once there's something that says, yes, the Bitcoin does have value, whether that be as a, store of value, as a token, as a,
Well, you can't regulate its value into existence, but you certainly, you would think that there would be some way that there'd be an ownership where if somebody was able to steal them, that they wouldn't be able to spend them, that they would be flagged as stolen Bitcoins, and maybe, I don't know how you would replace them with the actual owner, how they would get them back.
Well, when you're doing that, then what you do is you start having a central authority, and you start running the risk of making it a corruptible currency.
I guess that's true. If somebody steals your Maple Leaf, they're going to be able to spend it. There's no way because they're all the same, and you have no idea. If you report, I have a stolen Maple Leaf, somebody could use it. But I guess I don't know. Is there a way to store them so that they can't be taken.
Yeah, there is a way. Basically, if these get regulated, if everything you see on the outside world, on the current commercial infrastructure, banks, fraud protection, everything can be developed into the Bitcoin system. For instance, like I said, my co-founder has the British exchange, Bitcoin, and if he has some regulatory process, right now there's no regulatory process, but if he has some regulatory process, then he can be liable for losing his customers' Bitcoins. And
can anybody become a Bitcoin miner? Can anybody get on a computer and produce Bitcoins and then go and spend them or sell them?
Well, very, very few people are doing that right now, and it's a pretty unprofitable thing. The way Bitcoin works is the client, the first client, it had built into it a mechanism which would do this mining process. And mining is kind of a misnomer because you're not just digging, gold or some metal out of the earth. You're actually, the process that you're running is helping to secure the network and helping to verify transactions. So right now the community is starting to call it a verifier. But what happened was once merchant sites started accepting Bitcoin, people started saying, well, these things have some value, and people became very competitive. At first, they switched from using their central processing unit, their CPU, to their GPU because the GPU did the calculations better. Then they started working on separate code bases to create software which would do these functions better. And you hear stories about people putting their machines under dry ice. Very soon, hardware is going to be made specifically for this task. And what happens is every time the verification process reaches like an equilibrium point, those verifiers are starting to make less money. And what it does is it makes the whole system more affordable and more secure. So right now, when you have to send $1, what is backing that dollar or fiat currency? What's backing it are laws, judges, jurors, lawyers, governments, armies, employees with buildings, that need to purchase heat, all sorts of overhead. But instead of Bitcoins relying on the laws of the world, the external laws, they work on mathematical laws. And those mathematical laws, the harboring of this new technology is what makes it so efficient.
So what is the price? If I wanted to go out and buy a Bitcoin, what is the price of one right now, and how are the prices set?
The price is set just like any other currency. You can go up and you can buy. There's different exchanges. Like I said earlier, some of the exchanges were compromised. MTGOX, the biggest exchange, was compromised just within the last few days.
But what are they going for now? If I have how many Bitcoins do I get for $1, or how does it work?
Last I checked, you get about one Bitcoin is about $17.
So can you spend a half a coin? Do you have to spend them?
Yeah, of course.
So you can have fractional points.
You can spend 1 times 10 times negative 10 to the power of 8. So it's divisible to 8 decimal places. So there's a limit to the amount of coins in supply, but there's almost no limit to the divisibility.
So it's $17 for a Bitcoin. How much were they selling for a year ago?
A year ago, I don't know. A year ago was like 10 cents, maybe less.
So I don't know. I guess someone who bought a bunch from a year ago can do pretty well selling them now. I know people are trading these things, but the question is, how many dollars are they going to be worth in the future? I don't know. But anyway, it's an interesting discussion. It's an interesting concept, but I'm still a bit skeptical. But hey, thanks for coming on the show and trying to enlighten my audience about the concept. And of course, since the governments around the world are just doing such an awful job, people like you are trying to come up with alternatives to what is completely a flawed monetary system that is underlying the global economy. But anyway, thanks, Donald, for being my guest. Don't go away. We have another full hour coming up here on the Peter Schiff Show.